a mechatronics design approach. It is based on a principle called as concurrent engineering. So concurrent engineering means the several branches of engineering design departments are working together to arrive at a single solution. So if we have discussed the gearbox earlier, so the design will be first done by the mechanical, then it will be going to the electrical, then it may be going to the other departments one after the other, and whatever the design that is finalized by the mechanical department, those constraints have to be again satisfied by the electrical department. So we discussed it. So if the traditional design approach is used to generate a automatic gearbox, then they will not come up with a much radical design. All they will be incorporating is some actuators which can be used to control the position of the lever. Thereby you are able to achieve the different speed ratios through the gearbox. But if you are going for the mechatronics design approach, simultaneously the various design departments are going to give the inputs, and you are going to get with a completely new concept which may be possible. So if we go by the mechatronics design approach, the solution is arrived like this. Now what is the required output? The required output is multiple different speeds at the wheels. Now if you want to get the different speeds, what is the best way to achieve this? So it may come with, we should have electrical motor which can be speed controlled. Then what is the kind of motor that is required? Maybe DC motor is required, or maybe AC motor is required with a variable frequency drive. Now how do you get the electrical power output? So we should have a generator, or we should have an engine which has to be connected with electrical generator, and whatever the power output is there, that has to be supplied to a motor, and then we are able to drive the system. So that may be one kind of a design. So different people are going to design the shafts, they are going to design the electrical motor, what is required, the kind of sensors that are used to control the speed. Now another alternative can be, you are having a conventional gearbox, but they will be removing the lever, whatever the keys that have to be moved inside the gearbox, you are using certain solenoids. So now you have to decide how the speed has to be varied, whether based on the speed of the vehicle or based on the pressing of some buttons. So like that you can take what should be the input and what should be the output, and in between you can come up with multiple solutions which is arrived at simultaneous inputs of all the different branches of engineering, and then you are going to actually build the physical component, and then you are going to perform the testing. If you are satisfied, you are going to go for the production. If the basic design itself you are not satisfied, you will do the iteration, then you are going to actually build the component. If you are not satisfied, there also you can continuously do the multiple iterations to optimize the design before you are going to for the final product. So if you see the block diagram, the first step of the mechatronics design approach is the system specifications. So what is the exactly is the output that is required, what is the kind of inputs you have to consider for the given output. So like that you can have multiple specifications. Now in the designing part, you are having different design departments, they are working simultaneously to get a particular design which is called as a virtual prototype. So in the mechatronics design, what we are doing is we are having something called as a virtual prototype. Now this is similar to your CAD model. If you are going for the traditional design, you are having a CAD model. So CAD model, 3D model is a virtual prototype, which means we can do some kind of testing on the CAD model. We can do some FEM analysis, we can do some other types of analysis, and we can see how exactly it is behaving under certain conditions. So the same thing in the mechatronics design. So you are having some models for the mechanical elements, you are having some models for the electrical elements, how the circuits are going to function. Then you are having the embedded hardware and software, so you can see that what should be the inputs for the program and what should be the outputs for the program. Then you are having the controlling functions. So either you can use some equations or you can use some software based models to create a virtual prototype. So for the virtual prototype, when you are giving certain inputs, it will give how exactly the system is going to behave, and you are going to give the output. So advantage of virtual prototype is you can test in conditions which are not practicably tested. For example, you want to see how exactly the vehicle will behave when you are trying to turn it at say 120 kilometers per hour at a particular radius. Then you will say that the braking function at the different wheels, how exactly they are going to behave, how should the braking system should be generated, how much of force should be applied at each of the wheels. So all these things you can control by using the different programs or different codes or different equations, and you can see how exactly the vehicle is going to behave, whether the vehicle is going to roll. So all these things you can test by using the virtual prototype. So once for the different input parameters you are satisfied with the output that is generated by the virtual prototype, then you are actually going for the next step, that is the physical prototype. So once you have done the physical prototype, you will be conducting more tests, and then you can go for the manufacturing test system design. Now what is the manufacturing test system design? So while you are manufacturing, you have to be very sure that whatever the process you have incorporating to produce the component, they have to be in such a way that you are going to get the consistent output. So it should not be that some process you are using that process you can produce only one component at an economical rate. Then we will say that it is not a good manufacturing design. So you have to make sure that you are using the best processes which are economically to produce in the long run. So you have to simultaneously, while you are manufacturing the prototype, you are also taking care of all these aspects. So once you are satisfied with the prototype and you have done the testing of it, then you are actually going for the manufacturing in large numbers. Then once you are manufacturing in large numbers, the idea is to sell it to the customer. So once the component is with the customer, during the life cycle there will be some need for some repair or some kind of support, some service you have to provide. Then after that you have to do the sustaining engineering. So this is one of the main advantages of mechatronic systems is the sustainability engineering. Now sustainability engineering is you are able to give some upgrades without involving lot of costing. So if you are taking your mobile phone, which is we can consider as some sort of mechatronics device, continuously software updates are coming by which the functionality of the system is going to increase. So you are not changing anything. So by simply changing the software, it is possible to improve the functionality. It may also be possible that by changing certain hardware elements, you are able to improve the sustainability. For example, if you take your desktop PC, if you can keep on adding some RAM, or you can put some new elements into it, thereby you can improve its functionality. So in that way, the mechatronic system, the design itself is such that it will be modular. So there are different elements, you can replace one or the other element to improve the functionality of the entire system. So why this is required? Because we can use the same system for longer period of time because it is having more features. So you need not go for a completely new system. You can upgrade the existing system so that its life is increasing beyond a particular expected level. So customer also will be happy because he can delay the procurement of new systems. So he will also be happy. So this is the design approach that is used whenever we want to design a mechatronics based systems. So another way to look at the mechatronics design approach is there are basically three stages. First is the modeling and simulation. So in modeling and simulation you are using different equations, different software models to build a black box. That is what we say, a black box. So what is there in the black box, we are not bothered. We are only bothered about what is the input and what is the output. So output of one system is going to go as the input to the next system. For example, you are having a gear and you want to transfer the speed to the shaft. From the shaft it is going to the wheels. From the wheels, because of the rotation of the wheels, the vehicle is moving forward. So this is one chain. So if you take the gearbox, you are having the input speed and output speed. Now from where the gearbox is getting the input speed? It is getting from the engine. So from the engine, how it is controlled? So you are having fuel that is entering and the spark timing that you are controlling. So like that, each and every system, whatever you want to build, it will be having one input and one output. So you are combining all these inputs and outputs to build the entire system that you are trying to design. Then you are testing the different conditions. If this is the input, what will be the output? Whether you are satisfied with the output, whether some changes are required, or we have to go for a better kind of system. So like that, you are trying to build a virtual prototype, you are doing a simulations. Once you are satisfied with the virtual prototype and the simulation results, you are actually going to go for the physical prototyping. So wherein you are actually building the component, you are testing it, and again you are trying to improve its performance. That is called as the optimization. So we are doing the optimization. Then once you are completing the prototype, then you are going for the deployment life cycle, which means you have given it to the customer. Then you have to make sure that it is working throughout its life cycle in an efficient manner. So whatever software you have there, you have to keep on improving it. Then you have to make sure that you are improving the functionality of the system so that it can be operated for extended periods of time. Maybe you have to give some special spares which can be replaced. You have to give some software updates So, or you can add certain new functionality to the existing system. So, like that, that is the deployment cycle. So, you are continuously improving or upgrading the existing system so that it can be operated in new environments and new conditions. Because at the design stage you have taken certain assumptions, but while during the operation or during its life cycle some new conditions are going to be arising or some new environmental parameters you may have to consider. So, you may be incorporating some new sensors, for that sensor you have to change some software. So, like that you are trying to continuously improve the performance of the system so that it can continue to operate for extended periods of time, because any machine is nothing but investment. So, when a customer has done the investment, he wants it to function for as much time period as possible. So, when the functionalities is not possible to achieve by any means, then he will go for a replacement. So, because of the mechatronics design principles what we have adopted, it is possible to extend the life of the system by incorporating some new hardware elements and some improving the software that is operating the entire system. So, this is the mechatronics parallel design approach. So, both the block diagrams are explaining the same thing, but the representation is in a slightly different format.